Hello MotoGP enthusiasts. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Toprak Razgatlioglu delivered his best MotoGP finish to date at Balaton Park but left the paddock frustrated. A late setup change to reduce rear locking backfired, undermining his race rhythm and denying him a deserved top 1-0 result. The weekend highlighted both his growing adaptation to MotoGP and the razor-thin margins that separate progress from disappointment in the Premier class. Fabio Quartararo's Hungarian Grand Prix ended in frustration. A sudden handling problem left him struggling for braking and stability, led to 2 long lap penalties for insufficient time loss after chicane shortcuts, and forced retirement with 4 laps remaining. The sequence turned a promising restart position into a non-finish and raised fresh questions about tyre choice and bike behaviour. MotoGP is preparing a notable operational change for 2027. Teams may be limited to 1 race-ready bike in the garage during Friday and Saturday practice sessions, with a second machine held in reserve for Sprint and Grand Prix days. The proposal, reportedly agreed in principle by the MSMA and pending Grand Prix Commission approval, aims to reduce costs and tighten logistics, but will force a rethink of pit operations, practice formats, and safety procedures. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Razgatlioglu climbed from 18th on the grid to 13th in the sprint, and finished a career-best 11th in the Grand Prix. Despite clear pace when riding alone, a change to engine braking intended to stop rear locking created instability in corner 5 and cost him crucial lap time. It looks like we did a mistake. In MotoGP, small setup choices can have outsized effects. A tweak designed to protect the rear tire introduced instability at the front, showing how delicate the balance is between mechanical grip, rider confidence, and lap time consistency. After noticing excessive rear locking in qualifying, the team altered engine braking maps for the race. The adjustment reduced the locking issue but left the bike, pushing, into corner 5, making the front feel light and causing repeated mistakes. Razgatlioglu said the sensation robbed him of confidence at a critical braking point, forcing him to ride defensively rather than attack. In the race, "I'm not feeling the engine braking, I'm just feeling the rear pushing, I lose the front." Engine braking settings are a trade-off: too much and the rear locks, too little and the front loses stability. For a rider like Toprak, whose style relies on aggressive braking and rear-end control, the wrong compromise can neutralize his strongest weapon. Razgatlioglu stressed a clear pattern. When riding alone he could post strong lap times. His final lap was a 1 minute and 39.6 seconds, faster than most of the front group. But in traffic he lost rhythm and straight-line speed, making overtakes nearly impossible. The Yamaha V4's deficit on the straights compounded the problem, neutralizing his cornering gains. "I have the pace, but when I'm alone. When I arrive to the group, I'm riding with them, but slower." MotoGP rewards not just raw speed but the ability to pass and defend. Without top-end power, a rider can be trapped in mid-pack battles, unable to convert lap time potential into positions. This is where Yamaha's limitations are most exposed. Despite disappointment, Razgatlioglu called Balaton his best weekend so far and highlighted the underlying pace as encouraging. He proved he can run competitive lap times against established MotoGP riders, even if the Razgatlioglu element remains unfinished. The team now has a clear data point. The engine braking window that cured locking in qualifying was not the right compromise for race traffic. Identifying the precise setup trade-off is valuable. Engineers can use this weekend's telemetry to refine braking maps, stability settings, and torque delivery for upcoming rounds. For Toprak, every race is part of a steep learning curve from Superbike to MotoGP. Razgatlioglu leaves Hungary confident he can reach the top 10 when setup and race conditions align. The immediate focus will be restoring front confidence without reintroducing rear locking, and finding ways to reduce straight-line losses so he can convert solo pace into overtakes and results. His ability to adapt quickly and extract lessons from setbacks suggests that consistent top 1-0 finishes are within reach. If Pramac Yamaha fixes the engine braking balance and narrows the top speed gap, Toprak's steady improvement could soon translate into results that reflect his talent and determination. Balaton showed he has the pace. Now the challenge is to unlock it in traffic. Balaton Park showcased both Toprak's potential and the fragility of setup choices in MotoGP. A single engine braking adjustment turned a promising weekend into a near miss for the top 10. Yet the underlying speed, lap times in the 1:39s, proves he belongs in the fight. The task now is to translate that pace into Razgatlioglu by restoring braking confidence and trimming straight-line deficits. For Razgatlioglu, Hungary was both his best MotoGP race so far and a reminder of how much more is possible once Yamaha and rider align on the fine details. After the first lap carnage, Quartararo rejoined the race in 6th, but almost immediately reported a severe loss of braking feel and erratic handling. He ran wide repeatedly and eventually stopped to assess the problem. Race Direction later issued 2 long lap penalties for not yielding enough time after shortcuts across the turn 10 chicane. After serving them, he fell outside the points and retired. Stopping was the place where I felt the most, something wrong everywhere. Multiple penalties compounded a technical problem into a race-ending situation. Quartararo described the sensation as a general loss of control, with the rear particularly problematic. Yamaha's team director suggested the medium rear tire chosen by Quartararo may not have suited the M1 under Balaton's conditions, while the rider called it a technical issue that felt wrong everywhere. We expect the sensations may have been caused by the medium rear tire. Fresh asphalt, high ambient temperatures and tire surface interaction can produce unexpected grip windows. A tire that works for one chassis may destabilize another. The 2 long lap penalties were applied because Quartararo did not give up sufficient time after cutting the chicane. Each long lap disrupts rhythm and costs positions. Back-to-back penalties left him outside the points and increased the likelihood of retirement once the handling problem persisted. Penalties for chicane shortcuts are strict to deter advantage seeking. When combined with a technical issue, they can quickly turn a salvageable result into a DNF. Massimo Marigali framed the issue as a tire compatibility problem rather than a pure mechanical failure, pointing to the team's choice of medium rear rubber versus rivals on soft. For Yamaha, the incident highlights the sensitivity of the M1 to tire selection and the need for clearer windows of operation across different tracks and temperatures. Yamaha must reconcile setup stability with tire choices to avoid repeat episodes where a single compound misread costs a race. Immediate priorities are forensic analysis of telemetry and tire data, confirming whether the medium rear caused the instability, and reviewing the chicane cutting incidents to prevent future penalties. For Quartararo, restoring confidence in braking and exit stability will be essential before Brno. If the root cause is tire-related, adjustments to suspension, electronics and torque delivery can widen the usable window. If mechanical, rapid diagnosis is required to prevent recurrence. Quartararo's Balaton weekend ended as a cautionary tale. A single handling anomaly plus procedural penalties can erase a competitive position. Yamaha will dig into tire and setup interactions to prevent similar failures, while Quartararo must recover confidence and momentum ahead of the next rounds. The team's findings will be closely watched. Resolving this will be key to returning the M1 to consistent point scoring form. Under the draft regulation, each team would keep only one active bike in the pit box for Friday and Saturday sessions. A second bike would remain in reserve and only be prepared for track use if IRTA authorizes it, for example, ahead of sprint races or the Sunday Grand Prix. Practice durations would be shortened to limit component wear. The change is procedural rather than technical, but it has wide operational consequences for how teams prepare setups and manage spares. The measure fits a broader Liberty Media-led overhaul that already includes engine capacity changes and a new tire supplier. Reducing the number of bikes aims to cut costs, simplify paddock footprints, and standardize workloads across teams. It also aligns with efforts to make the championship more sustainable and commercially efficient. Cost control and parity are recurring themes in modern motorsport governance. Limiting garage inventory is a direct way to address both. Teams will need to reorganize pit workflows, one bike in active use, one in reserve, stricter limits on who can work on machines, and possibly reduced working hours. Engineers will have less track time to test setups, forcing more simulation and data-driven preparation. Spare parts strategies and logistics will become more conservative. Smaller garages and tighter staffing windows increase the premium on pre-event preparation and on getting setups right first time. Critics point out risks. In multi-bike crashes or flag-to-flag scenarios, having only one bike immediately available could prevent riders from rejoining a restarted race. The proposed compromise, allowing 2 bikes for sprint and Sunday, tries to balance safety with cost savings. Organizers will also need clear protocols for when the reserve bike can be activated. Any rule that affects a rider's ability to continue after incidents will be scrutinized by teams, riders, and the FIM for fairness and safety. Expect shorter practice sessions, stricter limits on who may touch the bike, and a formal process for bringing the reserve machine into service. Teams will rely more on remote simulation, pre-event setup packages, and rapid turnaround procedures when the second bike is authorized. Race Direction and IRTA will publish detailed activation rules to avoid disputes. The operational burden shifts from on-track experimentation to off-track preparation and faster decision-making during sessions. If approved, the one-bike rule for practice would reshape team logistics and raise the value of preparation, simulation, and tire management. It could reduce costs and level the playing field, but it also introduces new safety and sporting trade-offs that must be carefully regulated. Expect detailed implementation rules from the Grand Prix Commission and a period of consultation with teams and riders before the change becomes final for 2027. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!